What's up, guys? Addon here, and today I want to talk to you about add-ons. Now, normally when we talk about add-ons, we are looking at a specific one. We are going through it, we're looking at the options, we're looking at the functionality, and I kind of discern after looking at it whether it's worth your time, whether it's worth your bandwidth, or if it's something that you should completely avoid. However, today we're not going to do that because I want to take a step back and I want to talk about required add-ons when it comes to raiding. So, for example, my guild requires 3 add-ons in order to raid. Those being either Deadly Boss Mods or Bigwigs. That's the first one. The second one being RC Loot Council, and the third one being Exorcist or Exorcist Raid Tools. So, first one, pretty self-explanatory. You need either Bigwigs or DBM because it provides a whole host of functions, raid warnings, etc., etc. A lot of functionality that the common raider is going to be using. Now, when we gave out this list, at the beginning of the expansion, we've kind of adjusted things. My guild members, some of them didn't want to install either one of these add-ons. They said, look, I don't fail to mechanics, I don't stand in fire, I don't die to stupid shit. I don't want to download this extra add-on because I'm not failing, because it's extra resources that my computer's using up, because, it's too much crap on my screen. Okay. However, the functions that it provides, especially to those around you, offset those points. And after talking with the raiders for a decent chunk of time, we all agreed that while, yes, you may be that upper 10% that never die to standing in fire, and you run perfectly every single night, raid mechanics wise, you run your game perfectly. However, when you are in a fight and you see a chat bubble pop up and okay, that guy right there is going to get, whatever raid mechanic or whatever spell or whatever fire under him in 3 seconds. I know I need to run away. It provides a lot more to the raid as a whole, rather than just saying, hey, you're going to get fire under you, because everyone else is using it, everyone else is getting used to it, everyone else can benefit from it. And after a decent amount of discussion about it, the guild members and the raid members said, you know what? Okay, that's a legit argument. We're going to go ahead and do it. And nobody really, after that, had any ill will or any backlash towards it. Now, the second add-on that my guild is required to have installed in order to not necessarily raid, but to receive loot is RC Loot Council. Now, that was one of the very first add-on videos that I did on this channel. And RC Loot Council, I love it. And hopefully I made that clear in that video when I initially started that series. But I really enjoy RC Loot Council. Now, the guys that have coded it, or the guy, I don't know, but the team that did it, they've made some changes. Not a huge fan of some of them, but overall, the add-on itself is still very powerful, and it does a great job of facilitating giving out loot. It makes my job as the loot master a hell of a lot easier than what Blizzard's default user interface gives me. Nobody complained about that one. However, the third add-on is the one that we're talking about today, and that's Exorcist or Exorcist Raid Tools. This is a suite of tools, obviously made, or primarily authored by the Exorcist guys, and it provides a lot of functionality. It provides the ability to check, who's missing or has enchants, who's, does and doesn't have food and flasks and runes, and, what's your weapon traits and how many levels of concordance do you have in your item level, and, a very detailed, in-depth, what they call a fight log, which it's really a second by second or a nanosecond by nanosecond, just view of the entire combat log for an encounter. So you can go back and go, okay, who got this and where did they stand, and it's super detailed. There's a whole host of other options here. And when we added this add-on to the list, initially there was no backlash. However, earlier this week there was, where we said to people, look, we're cracking down on this because, we see the benefit in these add-ons. So if you don't have these 3 add-ons installed, you're not going to either get a raid invite, or we're just going to skip you for loot. And I had one particular raid member come to me after the raid this week, and he said, look, I don't fail to mechanics. I have DBM installed or bigwigs. I'm unsure which one he has, but he's like, I have this installed. Obviously, I have RC Loot Council. Everybody's going to get that. But the functionality that this third add-on gives me and provides to you is not worth it. It's unnecessary for me to install it. And simply put, if I'm being penalized for not installing an add-on that provides me no worth, even though I am, and he absolutely is in this case, the top 1% of raiders who doesn't fail, who does amazing DPS, who is a great raider, and he said, then this isn't the home that I want to have, where I'm pushed into downloading something that provides zero functionality for me, that you guys can't get the information from other places, that you guys are benefiting, even though I don't have this thing installed and running. You guys still have the information you need, and I'm being penalized for it. And so we ended the raid, and he told me this, and I wanted to sit down, and I did sit down with my officers, and I said, look, guys, here's the deal. Here's what he said. What are our thoughts on it? And the immediate response was, look, this is a required add-on. He's got to have it. And the agreement between the three of us, me as the guild leader, as the raid leader, and my two officers, was that yes, the attitude of I'm not going to have a required add-on installed and running simply because I don't want to, he is in the wrong for that. Yes, we all three agreed on that. However, what we need to do, and what I shared with these guys, was we need to evaluate whether we want to continue making this a required add-on. Because if it doesn't provide the functionality that we need, then we should not make it a required add-on. So what we did is we went down the list of the functions, what information and what functionality does Exorcist raid tools provide. And we hit every point. We said, okay, fight log, is that something that your general raider is going to look at? Not really. Gear score and all that trash. Is somebody going to look at that? Maybe, but it's on the armory. LVUI, you can, shift click on a character and get it. I mean, there's a billion other ways to get this information. Okay, what about checking for food and flasks? Well, no, that's the raid leader. What about this and that? No, none of the functions excluding the notes feature for Exorcist raid tools is necessary for the common, everyday, generic, general pop raider to need to have installed that they would benefit from. And so I said, look, if we can't, obviously DBM and bigwigs and RC Loot Council for this list, for us, easy win. Like, no shit, you gotta have it. Because the argument is there, everyone agreed. However, we all agreed after discussing it, really don't need it. So, what's my point behind this after 8 minutes of rambling? Well, it's a couple of different things. One is, as a leader, your job isn't simply to, with an iron fist enforce every single rule. Yes, rules need to be upheld. There are standards, there are things that you as a person, as a raider, as, a person, a guild member, a group member, you are required to do these things. If I say download bigwigs or deadly boss mods, you're required to download it. If I say do your plus 10, which is a requirement in my group to get loot for the week, do it or you're not getting loot. It's as simple as that. But if you can make a compelling case, we owe it to you as a leader, whether it be an officer or a guild leader or a raid leader or whatever you are, to actually step back and evaluate and go, okay, do we really need this? Is this a necessary thing? And it doesn't just go for add-ons, guys. I'm talking about rules in your guild. If you have this silly rule, and I can make up any number of rules here. It's worth it, and you owe it to your organization to take a step back and reevaluate. Things change. Maybe something has changed, and there's a better alternative maybe things have changed and you've gotten more hardcore, less hardcore, you raid more days, less days, whatever the situation is. And to blindly just go, you know what? No, you are required to do this. You're required to get this add-on no matter what because I said so. I'm the guild leader, I'm an officer in the guild or, I'm the raid leader and you have to do it. Well, there's no compelling reason to do it. So why do you necessarily need to do it? So when all was said and done, we agreed that, look, it's not really worth it. That the functionality is great, but the functionality is also something I think that a power user would use. Raid leader, guild leader, obviously someone in a leadership position, healers, maybe the tanks could use, some of the cooldowns, cooldown abilities that are in this add-on. But your everyday raider doesn't need to know the raid cooldowns. They don't care. If I were playing a DPSer, which I am, and I had no leadership responsibilities whatsoever, I don't care what the healing cooldowns are. I don't give two shits about it. I don't care when this or that is up. What I care about is my cooldowns as a mage and what's gonna when is bloodlust up. And these are the things that I'm talking about. Is everybody isn't going to need it, so look at it and evaluate whether you are requiring it. Talk about things. Don't just blindly, like I said, with that iron fist, slam it down on the desk and go, no, you'll do what I say. Because what you'll end up happening is people are going to go, I'm going to find a more reasonable leader, a more reasonable guild, even if it means sacrificing, possibly dropping down one or two bosses in raid progression to find a more reasonable or a group that's better suited for what I need. So keep that in mind when you guys are evaluating things that your guild, your raid, your group needs to do, is required to do, that you owe it to them to take a step back and really, truly discuss whether it's necessary, whether it should be required. With all that being said, guys, until next time, I'll see ya.